Today kicks off a busy week for economic data. You're looking at what to expect on the screen. We got fresh manufacturing data out this morning. It shows factories reporting weaker orders in November and rising costs. The much anticipated September PCE report, that's the Fed's favorite inflation gauge, is set to finally be released this Friday ahead of the final Fed meeting of the year, which is next week. Joining me now, B. Riley Wealth Chief Market Strategist Art Hogan. Hi, Art.
Hey, Lauren.
Good to see you. How much are you paying attention to the PCE report? Many say it's just far too backward looking. What do you think?
Yeah, a couple things that go into it. It's backward looking for sure, so probably won't have any impact on the decision making that happens next week at the last Fed meeting of the year. I think the other piece of the puzzle is we have a CPI and PPI that correlate to that month already, and once you have that data, you get about 80% of what you need to know at the core level of the PCE. So the PCE doesn't tend to surprise us either to the upside or the downside. I don't think it's going to have a big impact.
Okay. The president is set to announce his Fed chair pick soon. Eddie Gabor thinks it's going to be Rick Rieder. Who do you think?
I'd like to have Rick Rieder, but I think it's going to be Kevin Hassett. He seems to be the front runner here, whether you look at prediction models or the buzz. But Donald Trump already said he knows who he's going to pick, so he's probably going to announce that in the next week or so. He said the announcement would be coming before Christmas. At the end of the day, I think it's important to remember, though, the Fed chair has limited power in changing rate decisions, and we're going to see that next week. We may have a 7-5 split of the voters as to whether or not we cut rates, and I think that's going to be very true, agnostic of who the next Fed chair is. It's not an automatic if you're a dovish chair that you can get the rest of the committee to go along with what you like.
I'm glad you brought that up because, in my opinion, the next Fed chair is going to have sway in convincing other members to think the way he or she thinks. Let's move on to the growth of the overall economy. The third quarter report has been delayed because of the government shutdown, but the Atlanta Fed is projecting Q3 growth of 3.9%. That's just a tick higher than the second quarter. Does that concern you, Art, that we're not seeing this big growth heading into the holiday quarter?
No, we've kind of had a bumpy GDP ride this year. The first quarter, if you remember, was negative, but it was negative because of the massive amount of front running of tariff pricing. So our import-export balance was off. We caught up a little in the second quarter. We're catching up some more in the third quarter. I think that's well above the mean, which is 1.8%. So we're growing at above mean rates. And I think, into the fourth quarter, if you look at the Atlanta Fed, they also are predicting above mean growth. So I think we have a nice, slow and steady growth, just not producing enough jobs.
Yeah, well, and AI could be a part of that. Let's talk shopping. Black Friday, record numbers, almost $12 billion spent online in one day. Today is Cyber Monday. Is the consumer healthy?
I think the consumer is doing a really good job. I think it's bifurcated for sure. We have a K-shaped recovery, but the upper end consumer is certainly carrying their weight at about 80% of retail sales, and that continues to be on trend. I think Black Friday is confusing now that Black Friday is really the entire month of November and not just one day. So it's been very elongated. I think the bigger news will be Cyber Monday and just how much of a pull forward that is in demand. We tend to see a slowdown after these two events, but I think the consumer's in pretty good shape, especially on the higher end.
I mean, that's what I told my daughter. I'm like, we don't need to go to the mall on Black Friday because it's same sales, similar sales all month. You can do it on your phone. Yet we had to go to a jam-packed mall. Talk to me about TJX. I know it's one of your picks, the parent of Home Goods, Marshalls. What do they have? A lot of tariff-free inventory?
It really is the store of choice for the consumer that is value-oriented, but they also have the benefit of having the broadest distribution. They benefit from over-ordering by department stores, so they're buying tariff-free goods. But they're the bargain hunters' haven is the TJX, and they're doing a great job. So if you look at the performance of the stock this year, I think it continues next year.
Second person to name Apple as a stock pick on this show. Why do you like Apple?
A couple things. I think Apple never benefited from all of the positive mentions of artificial intelligence until they cut their deal with Alphabet. So they have two things going on there. Alphabet can continue to pay them to be the browser of choice on 1.5 billion iPhones on their install base, but they're going to partner with Alphabet and Gemini for their Apple Intelligence, and that is costing them $10 billion versus the hundreds of $billions that all the large language model developers have to spend. So Apple is buying their way into artificial intelligence. It'll be delivered to us on our iPhones, and they're probably going to partner up with someone else in China, but that is the way. Apple is the fast follower on artificial intelligence.
And they're at a record 281. Art, good to see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.